Hello there. I got a big stout from Timber Ales. This is the series they've been doing called Blended with Lumber. It's like a quarter barrel aged stout. This is blended with lumber six. Yeah, blended with lumber number 6, and it might be the best one. They've all been pretty good. Timber Ales, I think, is one of my favorite pastry stout brewers, and their pure barrel aged stuff you can only really get at the brewery, and the brewery is 12% Project in Connecticut. They've been contract brewing really good beer for a lot of different breweries for a while, but their IPAs, I just stopped getting them because they just kept not being very good. But the stouts made there are pretty good, especially the Timber Ale ones. So this one is a barrel blended Imperial Stout conditioned on coffee and coconut. It's 1/3 Imperial Stout aged in a variety of Willette barrels for 26 to 30 months, so extensively barrel aged. And then 2/3 fresh Imperial Stout blended, and then the finished product was conditioned on coffee and coconut, 13.4%. So these are strong beers. I've actually already had 3 of the cans from my 4-pack, and it was good, and felt like I should do a review. Very, very thick, nearly pitch black, and when the bubbles form and kind of rise slowly like that, almost like nitro, it usually means it's going to be nice, thick, rich beer, and usually with a nice, thick, rich mouthfeel. Some of those bubbles are kind of big. They're not going to last forever, but the fact that it's formed a pretty good head like that. I did pour it hard, but a lot of these big pastry stouts develop like no head, and they're kind of flat, and they are just kind of flat on the palate and acidic, or the head fizzes out so fast that it kind of is like Coca-Cola type carbonation, which you don't want that. So you get the head super, super dark. And what's cool is that a lot of Total Wines just have a bunch of these sitting on the shelves. I feel like I was the only one that bought this when it came out. At the one near me, it's $28 for a 4-pack of these, but they're super strong and really good quality. It's cheap, far cheaper than if you bought the barrel blended Treehouse stouts. And these are a lot stronger too. So this is actually not a bad deal. And it smells really good still. Like, this came out a couple months ago. They used to have really clear date codes on the 12% Project beers, and now they've become, I don't know, nonsensical to me. But it just has nice fruity, dark chocolate, coffee, and coconut, just what you want going on. And there's a little bit of extra vanilla coconutty, bourbony stuff in the background, but it's not too much. Like, a lot of times I feel like I like the blended ones more, because sometimes the bourbon is just overwhelming. There's a little bit of booze in there, which you would expect for 13.4, and the head is still sticking around. Yeah, big feel, pretty silky. The only bad review I think I saw on tap was someone said it was kind of metallic-y or something. Maybe. And with age, coffee can definitely go down. I bought my 4-pack and kept it in the fridge, but I can see that the flavor of this beer might go downhill quickly with the coconut and coffee. A lot of times people say that coffee gets a green pepper type thing. I'm not really getting that. This one maybe almost has too much carb. It could lose a little bit. Oh yeah, once you sip it, now I'm getting a much more rich, deep bourbon funk. It's like the only thing I know how to describe it. Because it's a malty, rich, toasty thing, but it's different from a stout. But they kind of combine in a really awesome way, obviously. Mm. And when you have it on your tongue, there's some bubble popping, but they're tiny bubbles. It's not a harsh carbonation. You can push your tongue through it, and there's some weight to it, but it's not really, really syrupy. Um, and now I'm getting like toasted marshmallow in the finish. Toasted marshmallow and bourbon sort of candies, bourbon chocolate, almost bourbon sort of maple. There's no maple in this, and I kind of like it when there's no maple added to these stouts because if the wood and the bourbon and all the other characters just gives it enough of this like sweet woodsy sort of taste, the oakiness. Excuse me. I guess maybe there's a teeny bit of a minerally thing, but I'm not getting metallic. I've had metallic tasting stouts that had off flavors. I'm not getting it from this one. This one's quite drinkable. Um, yeah, it's not burning my throat. I just got home. This is the first beer I've had, and it's not scaring me away with booziness. Hmm. But maybe yeah, little bit too bubbly. It's like it's thick and rich, but the bubbles kind of lighten it up. Some people might like that, but I think maybe Blend with Lumber 2 was the first batch I had last year. Maybe that one was a little bit better. But I'm going to do my favorite thing now. Nitrogenate it with some Guinness Zero. Probably the best. One of the best non-alcoholic beers. Because the nitro really is good. And you can add it to a stout like this, and it makes it a little more drinkable, and makes it nice and creamy. Especially these thick ones that are pretty well carbed, like the nitro just kind of goes nuts. And it makes it creamier, and it spreads out the flavor. Like the flavor is so strong that it's not dominated by the Guinness for sure. Even though Guinness is a little bit roasty and bitter, this has more roast and probably more bitterness going on too, to a certain extent. And it brings that head back. Yeah, I'm still primarily smelling this. I'm still smelling lots of coconut. I mean, chocolate coconut is like my favorite thing. I love, and Almond Joy's Mounds. I love that stuff. A lot of people don't like the shredded coconut texture, but that's not in here. And it's not suntan lotion. It is bourbon, coconut, chocolate, coffee, delicious flavors, and it all comes through. Mm. And the head is like so rich and thick now, like more so than a regular nitro Guinness. And if you put some of this on top, it'll keep it so it's not dominated by Guinness flavor on top. Looks like there's a little bit of sediment in there, but that's just a real treat. It almost reminds me of Treehouse has been doing some nitro versions of their stouts that are more like mid-range strong stouts, 7, 8. I guess even lower down to their single shot. This kind of reminds me of that because this is 13, this is 0, so it rounds up to be about in the 7 range. Or no, high 6s, I guess. Yeah, it doesn't turn into a non-alcoholic beer. You don't have that weird unfermented malt flavor. And this review's going on very long. But yeah, I guess I'm into blending saisons, like wild sour things with fresh things, but now I'm into like blending barrel aged huge stouts with Guinness Zero. You could also just do it with regular Guinness, but I feel like Guinness Zero is more chocolatey and less bitter. And it's also, 0 calorie or zero alcohol, 60 calories, so you can blend it and it's not as rich and boozy. And still, you'd be surprised by the results. But for this beer, it's still like close to a 4.5, and like for the blend, 4.75. Love this shit. I have one friend who's a huge like big stout kind of snob in a way, and I did this for him with him, and one of them I added some maple syrup too. That's why I don't like the maple stouts. Just add your own maple syrup. Just put a little bit in the bottom, pour it hard. That's exactly what other breweries are doing. Very few of them are fermenting it with the maple syrup. Some are, but it's way harder at home to condition on coconut Or you can't let your beer sit on coffee beans. You could throw a few coffee beans in there, but that's not gonna really do shit. Guess I'm swearing in this channel now. Yeah, and my friend thought these stout nitro blends were delicious. I may have even done this exact one for him. He's a friend who's probably going to soon share Toppling Goliath KBBS, one of the most highly rated sort of, what do you call it? I'm almost like a legacy barrel aged stout after KBS and Bourbon County Stout, because it's really hard to get a bottle of Toppling Glass full barrel aged stout KVBS. You have to go to the brewery or trade for it or spend 7,500 plus bucks. But this is a long enough review. So bye bye.